Hey, what's going on? I appreciate you for being here. I'm getting this set up. I tried to get it set up before, but they wanted me to hit upload before then. So I'm gonna make this count for the time of the day. $6 Perfect timing. Right now I'm putting the salmon in the oven. I have a sweet potato in there as we speak. I use Kerrygold unsalted butter with ground pepper crushed mixed into the salmon. And I'll have that in there right now, 380 for roughly 20-25 minutes. So right now it's 6:01, so with that in mind, I got about 19 and a half minutes, or however long we go on for this, to explain some of the quotes that I shared on the image and all of the things that have come together. So just the fact to upload this, knowing that initially it was live, is why it was worth recording in the first place. For these messages that I'm able to convey in a way that technology further permits us in 2026, it's only fair to make that of your time as well. How we make use of that time is essential. And how we go into that is however we choose to go about it. So whether you see this live or you see this recorded, may it bring of essential and meaningful purpose in your life for how you want to go about it in 2026. When we have God in the mix, so much more comes to fruition. That's why I say, when we believe, we prevail. Without faith, we crumble. And to have this view with you here, 2026, is surely a blessing. As you may see on my visor, Young Catholic Professionals, somehow being here and learning about them further permitted my life, where a rapport with Jesus could be what it is today. How much of a blessing it is to profess profound life lessons gained along the process to rebuilding life going forth into 2024. I had to be who I needed to be for 2024 in order for 2025 to be as hopeful as it was. And in a sense, 2026 is, in a way, embracing all of the previous efforts put forth to give the future a better chance of existing amongst each other, especially with peace. What people don't realize is the best form of business is done when both parties are on the same page. When both parties are on the same page, we give ourselves a chance to reflect, because we know that the foundation we're standing on is something that is valid. That's why I was saying, I'm a businessman with business plans. I make moves on a regular, so I'm always in demand. Where I put my feet is where I stand. And because you seek real content, it's a blessing that somehow the Lord has provided enough technology to me to provide, where, like I said before, profound life lessons gained and onwards to future generations. It's all about setting up the next one to succeed as much as possible. I know it may seem so simple, but it's easy to get astray from that message with how easy it is to distract ourselves the moment we awake. That's why it's good to have some form of structure with how would you like to go about living tomorrow, because it could very easily be here in less than 24 hours. That's the unique moment that we all have here right now. Because of this time we have here right now, it's how we're able to make use of the winter. So I appreciate everybody for being here. This is amazing. Just to share blessings. Like I've learned along the way, perseverance is a reminder of intangibles gained in the process. And within that process, it's essential when reflecting for us to be patient with ourselves. What does compassion look like? As compassion can very easily be perceived as something more feminine than masculine, but it's not to dismiss the divinity that resides from within. The biophotons of each person is something that most people don't realize. In a way, every person emits a light, a spark. There's significance to the spark of life for what it additionally establishes as a result. As you may have heard once or twice in your life, the concept of wanting to better the world than maybe when you came into existence. So it's how do we pass it forward in a way where future generation doesn't have to suffer as much. And it's just reviewing what it is nonsense that we shouldn't be entertaining because of how it depletes attention spans. A good example is brain rot. Brain rot is something that depletes our attention span and our focus on our dreams. And when we have God in our life, we're able to achieve more of our dreams. So I'll give you a moment to think on that. I'm going to get some water, but best believe we're going to keep this going, because right now it's only 6:06. Got about 20 minutes before I take out the salmon. The sweet potatoes already been cooking for an hour, because sweet potatoes take a little bit longer time, but you know what? It's a reminder of when you give yourself a chance to attend to things that may be of importance to your temple, your vessel, the person you reside from within. The concept of maintaining homeostasis in the process of you proceeding forward in life. Because you guys exist, in a sense, a message is further able to be shared. The best way to be shared in a sense of a Sunday dinner is one that is a salmon and sweet potato that I am able to make. And I'd say blessings for that here, and say blessings to you there. And that's the best way for us to move forward into 2026. The person you are right now is the most evolved version of yourself. The question is, how often do you give yourself a chance to reflect? And so, in addition to getting some water, I'll bring a notepad back and I'll go through some things and maybe some quotes that were mentioned on the image that I posted here, along with another post that I have. But however this reaches you, just know I hope all is going as well as it possibly could in support of your soul and the person you strive to be with spirit. It's so essential to keep that forward with you, but I give you a moment to think, because I know I said a lot. What's going on? I appreciate you for still being here. Because of that, it would make it worth your time. So, this notepad is like full, and I was looking for one that had more space. So maybe we'll find some more space with this one here. But I know that this one's going to be full. These are some things in which I'm working on. One in which was a previous faith formation, which was a blessing to experience 2025 and 2026. And somehow, if it wasn't for the substitute teaching I was doing in 2025, I wouldn't have become the person I needed to be moving forward into 2026. And it is forever a blessing that I've had the experiences as a sub, because of how they've provided me moments to heal that I didn't know I would when I think about when I was their age. Yet, coming back and reviewing it now with a master's in counselor education is the concept of, with that master's in counselor education, applying it to the time in which I was of these kids' age today, some time ago. It's the healing that has happened because of the times I gave myself a chance. And that's where I like to devote all the good I do to God, for all the good I'm capable of accomplishing and somehow being of use to the youth through empowerment and uplifting, which really what it is just a concept of like us being on the same page. Like I said at the start of this video, it's about how well both people communicate. In other words, how well are we on the same page with how I move forward with this, let's say, interaction. That's the uniqueness to learning this. So, reading the comments now, I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm learning more about that here. So, I put it like this: for the fact that you guys exist somehow, some way, it's a whole other level of technology that just somehow never seemed possible. And because you guys technically exist, all the people that I've met along the way in the past year, and everything established while becoming the unpopular counselor, and in a way, they served each other. And one of the things at the core with a lot of that is how often I was doing that with God in my heart. And for the times in which my interactions with others with God in my heart, it's always been profound and uplifting. And I gotta give praise to God for that. So in a way, it's kind of a full circle. But the circle to understand, and what I'm saying right here, is the spiral in which you live and progress throughout life. Count it as 24 hours with the spiral, with the way it intertwines into the next day. It's so easy to dismiss the time change from night into day, when it can become night before midnight, yet you don't experience the light right away in the start of the next day. So I know that's a lot. I'm gonna get some water. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about some of the stuff in here. And it's just so great. One of the messages I think I put on the cover was the best way for us to pay homage to our lineage is to break and change the generational pain. And I think that's more possible now in 2026 than ever before. For those of you paying attention to the salmon and the sweet potatoes during the video, they still have about another 10 minutes. So that gives us plenty of time here. This right here is something, this is one of the lessons for faith formation that I am blessed to have the opportunity of doing for a parish middle school. And whether the kids are from that school or not is the fact that the future generation is coming together in betterment of the person they want to be moving forward. And then I think that's where I felt like substitute teaching youth was like jackpot for all the good that is additionally established for what can be conveyed in a place that just so happens to promote education. That's the beauty of all of this. That's the beauty, in a sense, of your guys' existence. To be able to share these messages that likely wouldn't have expanded thus far. Yet, the algorithm is starting to understand that a lot of the connections that have already been established, because the Lord told me to be in a place where I could uplift others in the process. The best place to do that is in a place that promotes education, because everybody is on the same page about the environment promoted in support of the ideal goal, which is for a person to somehow go to school with their book bag and school supplies and come home with the same amount of stuff on them. Yet the real gain of the day are the intangibles from each day, from whatever class period they're in, and how that in a way contributed to the way that they live life moving forward. That's where lifespan development comes into play. Homeostasis is an example of this, because it exists in and out, because this is the innate to us. Essential like oxygen. But to be able to create tabloid lesson plans in support of the parish and what they already provide for notes, it's truly a blessing. And that's one of the things where, with substitute teaching, I always wanted to talk more about God while also not dismissing my faith in the process. And that's one of the things that I've come to further appreciate with doing faith formation with the middle school, because I'd be lying for the fact that to praise God and everyone on the same page about praising God is how it makes it easier for us to have a foundation to work on with who we're trying to be in the near future. That near future version of yourself is so possible that, in a sense, someday tomorrow could be here before you know it. Only the guy FGTV, students said, they said that a time or two. You are correct. But I appreciate you guys for being here. That is something else. For another person to apparently have to exist in the world, and I like to believe they're doing something positive. And how there's a similar resemblance. So, in connection to my audience here, it's only fair to say that while we have this going, if you were wondering what was that, it was just the snow brush falling off, as you may have had to go outside to shovel today. And I may have to go shovel probably again tonight. It is what it is, but that's just part of what this winter is, and how it's only going to be a short period of time before spring, and all of this will be past us. And that's the thing to keep in mind, is to not let what seems like a chained down moment think of this being the end all be all. Rather, if we are focused on the objective, which is that of the near future, then we consider how it is for us to move forward. The best way for us to move forward in life is with peace. Because when you move forward with peace, you move forward with peace everywhere, but it's a concept of, because you always stand on business with peace at heart at the start of everything that you go about, it's you initially giving everything around you more patience, because it's how you choose to cooperate with moving forward. There's a thing called cerebral action. I know Some may not have heard of that, and that's okay. I will circle back around to that. Cerebral action refers to something deliberately being positive instead of something being negative. And in a sense of how turning something into a negative influences the next part of our lives. Perspective is essential with the way you perceive your lifespan development. One of the things I always promote is reflection. So like right here, this is a class discussion, reflection. And to be able to talk about these things with the kids and give them a chance to reflect is just, it's a blessing. And I strive to do that in a sense with what I put here. It's just how am I empowering future generations? How am I bridging those that need to come together in support of, as they say, to love thy neighbor as thyself. And I understand everybody has their own way of living, but it's the goodwill of wishing well on others. Because at the end of the day, we are on a journey. So it's 6:22. I'll give it another 5 minutes. Also, as I'm going through some of this, because of the substitute teaching, it put me on to a nonprofit. Initially, I had an LLC. And then, when I was talking to venture capitalists, they were saying it would be better off for me to be a nonprofit. And at first, I didn't really understand what they were saying. But then I was like, you know what? Let me give myself a chance to review this a little further. And because of that, it made me realize what I'm ultimately trying to do is just better everyone around me. And that's where nonprofits thrive. What I realized is for the amount of nonprofits out there, how not everything in the world is solved for the fact that nonprofits exist is beyond me. But that's gonna change. And so ultimately this nonprofit I'm making is one where the proceeds, much of the proceeds go to running the business itself, and then paying off or some way of providing affordable assistance to people and the district's like CAF budget. So then all students can receive free breakfast and lunch and not have to worry about whatever their life is at home to affect their opportunity to eat that day. For the fact that youth are in school for like 7-8 hours, sometimes longer when they choose to be after school, like they're there for a fair part of their day. And for the amount of life that is being lived at that time, it is fascinating to see how it can further progress and influence the next version of themselves. To see progress from students within such a fraction of the time is a reminder of how genuine the world can be when we're all genuine with ourselves. That goes back to the compassion, the patience. Can't spell patience without pace. That's essential. Yeah, so putting the nonprofit towards paying off students or whatever the funds are for their lunches, paying off the districts, whatever, it would be cool to do it nationwide. I think we could do it nationwide. Like, I'll start off with seeing if I can do it for the state, and then we'll see if I can do it for the country. That'd be cool. But with this nonprofit, what I foresee coming together is what the initial thing being brought to light. A way to revolutionize humanity across the board. I would like to share that with you, but I also want to, I want it to be a surprise. However, I'll put it like this. It's going to be something somewhat related to a time when I worked for United Way 211. What was going on is I was information and referral specialist and a housing crisis specialist on the line. And sometimes people would have questions with God, and the opportunities to provide hope were worth embracing for the person who they eventually became in the process, and the future conversations that would follow up. What I realized is parts of that place didn't technically promote certain things that I wish they did, yet what I realized is sometimes certain nonprofits can be misled after, I don't want to say, some form of inadequacy and character, especially in a place where you're dealing with a lot of people and the compassion needs to be there on every single call. But what I realized is for myself that who I was becoming in the process of starting the Unpopular Counselor in 2021 is the things I had to process in order to move forward with peace. So I wrote the Burnt Out Story, got baptized in the process. That opened my life to so much more. And what seemed like a baptism graduation is also really that of a commencement with the will to live moving forward. For all the preparation, love, appreciation that went into RCIA, it was only worth embracing. So envision this. You can call 211 to receive information on roundabout resources to the best of whatever's in their database. What you can also do is you could look up, let's say, 211 CT, and from there you could see a little bit more of some accessible points available in your area that you may not have realized existed prior. Awareness of nearby resources can further permit envision to fruition from taking what may seem like a dream and making incremental progress along the way, as it's the incremental progress that leads to monumental outcomes. But this is great. What's going on? Appreciate you being here. Taking out the salmon, so technically you came at the perfect time. I'm gonna leave the sweet potato in there a little bit longer. You know what? I'll take a moment. Out at 6:30. There you go. Well, we've been recording for 30 minutes, and I like to say it was worth your time. It's the gathering of all of this experience on multiple levels. Even though it may seem like winter, it is worth embracing. These right here, I'll tell you something. When I was grilling, these right here, they got them done. Look at that. I tell you what, I learned from making a video why I needed to repurpose these right now for the time in which I may go to use them. It beats just the fork itself. That's why, like I said before with the 211 website, it's important to be aware of your resources. Because this, in a sense, could save me from something that would maybe, in a sense, be unnecessary because of the support that's around. So sometimes in life, it's easy to be stubborn and dismiss help when sometimes help could be useful. That's the value of addressing mental health. That's the whole purpose of writing the Burnt Out story, to address mental health. For what likely would have been an untold story. But to be able to share it, and then to the things I've heard, like the reviews, it's a blessing. Just to like, at first I wasn't sure because there was times when my faith in a previous relationship was questioned, and it just didn't make sense because I kept doing good things. Yeah, I just didn't know why at times I was being punished. And that's when I started to realize to pick up on who is around us carries much influence on how we live out parts of our life. I don't think anybody's watching for this part, but it's the fact that because you're able to progress, you're able to succeed. Well, that's cooling down. This is ready to go. I'm going to say grace, because there's a chance I may start eating this already. So, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Bless us, O Lord, and these that gifts which we're about to receive from that God. In Christ's name. All right. So tender, it's falling apart. Like I said, it's not good to be stubborn. Come on. That would be the one, that would be when I'm lying. done. And it's on the paper measurement. See, this is why space is important. Nobody talks enough about that. That was so easy. Like, come on. And I say base too. At least it's done. So this, I know this doesn't look pretty. I know this doesn't look pretty. But that's Sunday dinner. So it's at least made and it's hot. And to be able to share a meal with you this evening is a blessing. So I will catch you in the next one, and just remember, life is worth an honest effort.